Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be the 23 books that I want to read in the year of 2023. To narrow this down a bit, I am only choosing books on my physical copy shelf that I want to read, and I'm also including series as one book. So without further ado, let's just hop into the video. Okay, so the first book that I want to read is When in Rome by Sarah Adams. This one is I actually got this in my Hushbug reading box, so it's got an author's note, which really made me want to pick it up right away, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. And I've heard really good things about Sarah Adams' writing, so I really want to prioritize this one this year. This is an opposites attract romance, and I just love those, so I'm very excited to read this one in 2023. The next book that I want to read in 2023 is My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. I love Tessa Bailey's writing, and I'm really sad that I never got around to this one in this past summer, so I'm hoping I can get it around to it this summer. I think it sounds just like the perfect beach read. I love romantic suspense, and this one sounds right up my alley. I believe it's sort of like a bodyguard cop romance. So, and I just know I'm gonna love it because I love Tess Bailey's writing. I think she's hilarious, so I'm excited about this one. The third book that I want to prioritize this year is The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. I'm sorry, I always keep the dust jackets off my books until I've finished reading them, so this one does not have its dust jacket on it, but it's The Bodyguard. I loved the Insiders series last year by Tijan, which is a bodyguard romance, which made me really want to pick up more bodyguard romances. And this one is a reverse bodyguard where the female main character is the bodyguard. So I'm excited about this. I think it also made the Goodreads top choices for romance this year, and I've just heard nothing but good things from all of my friends who have read it. The fourth book that I want to read this year is Ace of Spades by Farida Ibeke-Imede. I'm really sorry if I mispronounced that. Please correct me in the comments. I should have looked it up before I filmed this, but I did not. But I've heard really good things about this. This seems like the perfect fall book to read. It is a YA mystery, I believe. It takes place in a prep school, and I'm not entirely sure what the mystery is, but I've literally not heard a single bad review of this book, so I need to get to it this year. The fifth book is Set on You by Amy Lee. She is a Canadian author, so that makes me really want to read it. I believe this is a celebrity romance. One of them is a fitness influencer, and the other is an actual celebrity. Firefighter. Never mind. And this is again one of the Hushbug book box picks, and it had an author's letter in it, so whenever a book comes with an author's letter, it really motivates me to read it because you get to see a little bit behind the scenes of what the author was thinking. I know you get that in the author's note, but I don't always read those until after a book because there sometimes is spoilers in them, so I really like when I can get a little note to go with it. And this one I've again heard really good things about it. I really want to read it, so. The sixth book is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. I have loved every single one of Casey McQuiston's books that have come out, but I somehow for some reason didn't read this the summer it came out. I pretty consistently read Casey McQuiston's writing as soon as it comes out, but for some reason I just didn't gravitate it towards this one that summer. But I love sapphic romance. I love when there's a little bit of a sci-fi element into romance, which I've heard there is that in this one. I think that there's like a bit of time travel if I remember correctly, and it's not a want at this point, it's a need. I need to read this. I really want I'm sure that I'm absolutely going to love it. The 7th book is actually a series. I want to finish reading the Heartstopper series. I know that the 5th one, I think the 5th one's even coming out this year, so that will be included in this. But I really liked the first one, and I'm not really sure why I didn't just immediately pick these ones up, because it did end on sort of a cliffhanger, so I really want to prioritize these ones this year and get to them ASAP. Okay, so the 8th book is also a series. I tried to avoid adding series as much as possible because I am in the middle of quite a few already. But I love Devney Perry's writing. I'm going to put this down because this is getting ridiculous. I love Devney Perry's writing, and I actually saw a TikTok right before I made this that reaffirmed my choice to add this series, even though I have a few series by Devney Perry that I could have added to this list. I chose this one because I've heard really good things. It takes place, it's like it's a motorcycle club romance, and each one is standalones but interconnected. They are romantic suspense, and each of them have their own sort of tropes along with them. So I know that I'm gonna love these, and I really, really want to read them this year. I know I'm in the middle of a lot of series, but if I'm going to add series into my list, I want to make sure they're ones that I'm actually going to really love, and I know I'll love these. The next book is another series, and I'm not going to hold them all up. I'm just going to hold the first one up because there are 10 books in this series, and it would just be very chaotic if I tried to hold them all. But I really want to read the Addicted/Calloway Sisters series. I know this is a big commitment, but Amura Moro made one of my top 10 favorite books that I read last year, so I know I already like their writing style, and I am honestly just having FOMO seeing everyone on BookTube and TikTok and Instagram, everywhere, like everyone I see talking about this, and I have really bad FOMO, so I want to see what it's about, and I really want to read them. I want to meet Lillian Lowe that everyone loves, so I'm gonna get to this series this year, I'm telling myself. The 10th book that I want to get to this year is Maggie Moves On by Lucy Score. I love Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score, so I'm really excited to read another one by her. I love HGTV, which this one gives off HGTV vibes, and I don't know what else to say about this except for it's one that I want to prioritize this year, just like all of them. I've heard really good things about this one. I haven't heard about this one as much as Things We Never Got Over, but from the things that I have heard about this, they've heard good things, so I want to read that I want to read this one this year. The 11th book I want to prioritize this year is The Last Christmas in Paris by Hazel Gaynor and Heather Webb. This is I think this is the last Christmas book that I have on my shelf of physical copy books that I didn't actually read this season. So I want to read this one next year. I'm telling myself I'm going to now. So if I'm putting it in this one, hold me accountable, guys. I need to read this one, even though historical fiction isn't always my cup of tea. I have high hopes for this one. The 12th book that I want to read this year is A Cosmic Kind of Love by Samantha Young. I read On Dublin Street by Samantha Young last year in 2021, and I really, really liked it. Actually made one of my favorite romances for 2021, and I still need to read the rest of that series, but I got this book in my Hushbook book box, so I'm really excited to read another book by Samantha Young. And as well, it did come with an author's note, so you know already how much I love that. So, and it just sounds like such a unique premise for a story. It is sort of star-crossed lovers in a way, like the wedding event planner finds all these messages from the bride's ex-boyfriend and is watching them, and the bride's ex-boyfriend is an astronaut who passes away, and so she's sending all these like video messages in response to these messages that she's finding, and thinking that they're bouncing back so no one will be able to find it, but NASA's IT department sends it to the deceased brother, and they end up messaging back and forth, so they're falling in love via back and forth messages. So you know that there's probably going to be like text message bubbles in here and stuff like that too, which I also really enjoy. The 13th book that I want to read this year is Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. I think this is the only nonfiction book that I have on here, but I've heard really good things about this. I have no idea who Dolly Alderton is, but the concept really intrigued me because it's about her life and how she thinks that she's supposed to have her life together and everything figured out by the age of 30, and as she's going through her life, she's realizing that she doesn't need to have everything figured out by the age of 30. And since I'm getting to the end of my 20s, I'm not quite there yet. I'm going to be turning 27 in 2023. I think this will be a really good book for me to read because I do sometimes feel the pressure to have things figured out, but you definitely don't need to, and you'll keep learning throughout your life regardless. So I think this one will be a really good read for me this year. The 14th book is The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. This might be the book that I've had on my shelf for the longest. It's one of the very first books that I picked up in 2020 or even 2019. I'm not entirely sure. So if you've actually been watching for my channel for a while, I think I hauled it, or I think it was one of the books that one of 5 books that used to sit above my desk in my old videos. So the fact that I have not gotten around to reading it yet is just very sad. So I need to read it this year. And I've also heard really good things about it. The 15th book that I want to read is again another series, but it's actually I started a series and didn't finish it last year. This is the Vampire Academy series. I read the first 2 at the beginning of the year, and I started this reread in anticipation of the Prime Video TV show that was coming out. And I forgot how much I absolutely adored this world and all the characters in it. So I really want to go back to this world, and I still actually haven't even watched the TV show, which I was getting prepared for. So I want to finish this series and then watch the show, even though I know the show is only the first book series. So this is another one that I absolutely need to read this year. The 16th book that I want to read is Bet on It by Jody Slaughter. This one is a forced proximity romance, I believe. I believe the characters actually get set up by the male main character's grandmother, which I love when that happens. I love when there's nosy grandparents that match people up together. I don't know, I just really like that trope. I like when it's in books. And so this one sounds like a lot of fun. They make a bingo-based sex bet to keep it only sex, and then but I am very sure that they end up falling for each other. The 17th book is Thank You for Listening by Julia Whelan. Julia Whelan is actually the narrator to all of the Emily Henry books, so I love her already because of that, and so I definitely want to read this book as well while listening to audio because it's about an audiobook narrator. Sorry, I should have explained that better. So it's about an audiobook narrator, and Julia Whelan is actually the audiobook narrator to all the Emily Henry books. And my friend actually just finished reading this and was like, you need to read this, you're gonna love it. And I was like, okay, you convinced me, I need to prioritize it this year. So this is one I'm going to make sure that I read this year. Sorry if you hear barking, by the way. Kevin's going a bit crazy. I'm filming this at his craziest part of the day because I just wanted to get this in before Christmas and so I can take a break around the holidays, but maybe it wasn't the best time to film. The 18th book that I want to read is The American Roommate Experiment by Elena Armas. This is the second in the Spanish Love Deception series, and honestly the tropes in this sound way better to me than the Spanish Love Deception, which I really liked. It wasn't one of my favorite books, it wasn't one of my worst books, but feel like I like her writing style. I didn't personally find that The Spanish Love Deception was too much of a slow burn. I like slow burns, so I'm excited to read this one. I've heard mixed things about it, but I really would like to continue with this series and see what this one's all about. The 19th book is Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. I know that this is the original cover. I actually personally like the new covers way more. This is very simple, but I've heard like when this was first coming out, like I heard people were raving and raving and raving about this, so I immediately bought it on Amazon because I just had to know what the hype was about, but then didn't get around to it. So I still want to know what the hype is about, and I'm going to prioritize finding that out in 2023. I really liked the Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake, so I think that I'm going to like this one because I liked the writing style in that. I think I'm getting a little lost on what number I'm at, but the next book that I want to read is The Roughest Draft by Emily Wimberly and Austin Sigmund Broca. This one I've heard is very similar to Beach Read, and it gives the same similar vibes, and if you know, Beach Read is probably one of my favorite books of all time, so I need to find out if that's true, if this is like Beach Read at all. I'm sure I'm gonna love it. The next book is Talk Bookish to Me by Kate Bromley. I've had this one on my shelf for quite a while now. It follows a bookstagrammer, which I just find is like very meta and very interesting. I'm going to find it very interesting, I know, because of I love when a character loves books in a book. It just makes me really connect with them, and I've heard really good things about this book, and so I think this will be a really good read over the summer to prioritize. The next book that I want to read is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I love Christina Lauren's writing. And this is one of the only backlist books by them that I still need to read and that I own, so I really want to read this year. It obviously looks and feels like a perfect beach read, which I read a lot of books over the summer, so I think that this one will be perfect for the spring and summertime. So it's one that I need to get to this year. I've had it on my shelf for a while, and it needs to be read. And last but certainly not least is Do You Take This Man by Denise Williams. Denise Williams is another one that is sort of an auto-buy author for me. I have loved every single one of their books that I've read, and this one sounds very intriguing. So okay, and that is the 23 books that I want to read in 2023. I think I counted that all correctly, but we'll see when I go back and edit this if I miscounted it all. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what is one book that you're going to prioritize reading this year, and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.